I'm going to take a wild guess and say you don't want to work forever. So you're wondering, am I in a good spot to retire early? What do I need to do? I want to make sure that I'm not going to work forever, and I want to invest well so that when the day comes that you go, hey, I don't want to work because I want to spend more time with family or friends or focusing on a relationship or my health or whatever it is, that you're in a position to do that. That's exactly what we're going to go over in today's video. If you don't already know, my name is Taublieb. I'm a financial planner. I'm the host of the Early Retirement Podcast, and I'm the vice president here at Root. Now, before we hop in, what I want you to really understand here, and too many people make this mistake of they'll save and invest to the degree that it's actually not healthy. Meaning I have some people going, hey, I need to get a second job or a third job so I can save and invest so that one day I no longer need to work. I don't want you to do that. I want you to make sure that you're on track to retire early, but I don't want you to sacrifice lifestyle today. And I find too many people do that, where they go, hey, I don't know if I'm going to be okay, and they end up over saving. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of people out there actually end up under saving. That's the large majority. But a lot of you that are watching my videos and listening to my podcast are ahead of the curve. And you guys are listening going, hey, what are the things I don't know that if I did know them would put me in a better spot to retire early? So today there are a lot of things I want to go over, but I'm going to go over 3 main examples that are going to help you understand that if you're in your 30s or 40s going, I want to retire early, I want to do it successfully, what do I need to know? Number 1 is you need to redefine what your RE is. And people go, what on earth did you just say? RE stands for recreational employment. And most people talk about the FIRE movement, which is financial independence, retire early. I like replacing that retire early with recreational employment because I work with a lot of people that retire early, which for all of you, it's anyone retiring before 65. That's an early retirement as I see it. Some people think it's early 40s. Some people think it's early 50s, late 50s. To me, it's anyone retiring before 65. I want to make sure that you don't retire and go, hey, wait a second, I'm in a good spot. Why didn't I retire 5 years earlier where I had my energy, I had my health? It would have been a whole lot more meaningful to me. The dollars would have been worth more. My partner James has an amazing candy bar example that I'm going to tell you in just a second. But what I want you to do is know how much money you need, and it's not only a number, but how much money you need so you can really live your dream life. You probably thought I was going to say how much money you need so you can retire. 1 million, 2 million, 5 million. That's not where I start. I start with saying, how much money do you need so you can actually do the things you want to do? Some of you go, hey, I don't know because I have a family that's still growing and I don't know. I might want to buy another home. I go, you're right. Don't get the analysis paralysis that too many people do get. And they go, oh my God, taxes, withdrawal rates, investing. I'm overwhelmed. And then they don't plan. I don't want you to do that. I want you to go, okay, I think, based on my projections, if I had $8,000 a month, after taxes, adjusted for inflation, I'd be in a good spot. Meaning, I'm not saying I get to do everything I want to do. It's not me going to the Super Bowl, or for me, I'm a soccer player, going to the World Cup final. I'm not saying you get to do that. I'm saying let's add those in later once you understand when you're in that position where you're truly working because you want to, not because you have to. Most people don't come to me going, yeah, I want to stop working tomorrow. They're going, hey, I want to know when I no longer need to keep working financially. And then people end up continuing to work, or they shift to a job that's a whole lot more enjoyable. So number 1 is understanding how much you need so you can actually do what you want to do. And then from there, I say, don't marry it. So like part 1A, if you will, is us saying, okay, how much do you want to spend? $8,000 a month. But let's assume you retire at 45. Well, what are we going to do for healthcare for the next 20 years? Some people go, hey, my spouse is still working, so I'll be covered. Some of you are going, hey, I'm going to take a job. Yeah, it pays a lot less, but I'm going to enjoy it. And healthcare is a perk that I get there. I say, great. So don't get the analysis paralysis, but understand, okay, $8,000 a month, that's what I need to do. And some of you are going to really go into the weeds, and that's because I know you, and I want to go in the weeds because I want you to retire with confidence, but I also don't want you to go, well, wait a second, I have a mortgage today, and that's going to go away. So once the mortgage is gone, I'm going to need like $5,000 a month because $3,000 is going to my mortgage today. I say, great, then your number is not $8,000. In this example, your number would be $5,000. How much do you need so you can do what you want to do regardless if there's a mortgage there or not? Let's layer that on in addition. Let's layer on additional travel once you actually actually do retire and you can start to do these things. So there's a whole lot more to that, but I want to make sure you understand what you want to spend first before diving into returns and your savings rate and Social Security and how that gets impacted by an early retirement. I have tons of videos on Roth conversions, Social Security, and comment below if those have been helpful, if you've already seen those. Today, I want to take a big step back and help all of you that are in your 30s and 40s, or some of my clients that are watching this going, hey, I want to send this to someone I know in their 30s or 40s so that they can retire early with confidence. Number 2 is saying, how well are your investments set up? And it's pretty simple, but I want you, for most of you, to have 100% in equities. And most of you go, wait a second, shouldn't I have 70% in equities, maybe 20% fixed income, maybe a portion in cash? And I go, my job for my clients is to quantify the trade-offs so they can understand the magnitude of those decisions. You go, hey, that didn't sound like English. Here's what I mean. What I mean is if you're not working today and you need income tomorrow because we're in retirement, I don't want you to have 100% equities. For a lot of you, it's way too risky because if markets go down, I need to be able to send you income. And if markets are down, I might have to sell something at a loss. I don't want to have to do that. But many of you are still going to be working the next 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years. So I want you to have your money growing for you. And I want you to look at this quick graph right here. I don't have a lot of graphs that I'll show, but this graph is really helpful because it shows you the value of investing, which a lot of you understand, but a lot of you might not know. And that's why a lot of you reach out. You might not know that the historical best performer is not the S&P 500. One of the best performing asset classes is what's called small cap value. These aren't penny stocks, but these are companies that are just like Amazon and Netflix and Google and Meta, but you're just getting in at a lower price. So I want you to have exposure to the parts of the market that have historically done really well. Now, here's another cool chart that I'll show to a lot of clients, and this is called the quilt. And the cool thing about this quilt, it looks crazy for a second. It's like a periodic table of investing, is it allows you to understand that recency bias is real. And so recently, tech stocks have done really well. And so a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I love tech stocks. It's putting me in such a great position. But what I don't want to have happen is the following. I don't want you to go, well, now I had such a heavy weight to tech stocks and it did not do well that now I'm in a tough spot. Because the final graph I'm showing you right here, this is a real graph and I'm going to tell you the quick story on it. I had a client that came to me and they wanted to retire early at 72. And you're like, that doesn't sound so early. And it's not, but what happened is they retired early, but not successfully. Meaning they had too much in the US. And you can see here, if you retired in 2010, you would have been just fine. The US was the second best performer. But if you just got unlucky and retired in 2000, the US was the fourth worst performer. And those are the years where you want to travel, when you have your energy, when you have your health. And so now it's, oh my gosh, markets are going down. I just retired. I no longer have an income. Plus I'm spending a whole lot more. And so that's where a retirement gets really scary. And I don't want you to go, oh my gosh, Ari thinks that the US is terrible or Ari thinks the US is great. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I want to make sure you have enough in every bucket that I don't care if the US does well or doesn't do well. You're okay either way. So that's number 2 is how well are you invested? Do you have any amount in fixed income or cash because it lets you sleep better at night, lets your spouse sleep better at night? Then you don't negate that. But for a lot of people coming to me, they've got 70, 80% in equities when in reality, they're going to keep working the next 10, 15, 20 years. And by having 100% in equities in the right part of the market, it can make a big difference in terms of when you can retire. Finally, number 3 here, and this in my opinion is the most important one, it can sound a little woo-woo at times, but I promise it's not, is what on earth are you going to do? And you're like, oh, here we go again, another retirement lifestyle coach. And I'm like, guys, no, that's not what I'm saying here. I want you to financially be in an awesome spot to retire. But if you don't actually have a plan for what you're going to do, and I'm not just saying golf, then you're not going to have success in retirement. And here's what I mean. A lot of you are like, hey, once I'm in a spot to financially retire, I'm good. I've got so many hobbies I want to do. Then I'd say, number 1, comment. Let me know what those things are, because there are other people that would love to know what you're going to do. It's going to give them more ideas and confidence. And so please do drop in the comments what you're planning to do for fulfillment and purpose in retirement. But I want to make sure that you don't do the following. And this is a real client story. Someone came to me before we started working together. They could not wait to retire and they wanted to move to Hawaii. I said, great, Hawaii's awesome. They moved to Hawaii and they loved it for 6 weeks, not forever. Big financial hit when they sold that home. I don't want you to make a mistake like that, but I also don't want you to call me up. And one of my clients, his name is Jeff, and he allowed me to tell this story. And so Jeff said, hey, Ari, what do I do? I go, what do you mean? Your portfolio is up 25%. He goes, no. What do? I just hurt my back and I've been golfing. Like, what am I supposed to do now in retirement? And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's beyond just the finances here. And that's when I started to really connect the dots and go, yeah, it's true. The cliche of you got to retire from something to something, it's very real. So I don't want to retire and go, okay, now, I'm going to wake up and maybe go to the beach and maybe play with my spouse. And like, okay, that's great. But maybe your spouse is still working, or maybe you're going to retire and go, hey, I actually turn out, I want to keep working. I want to do something. Maybe it pays less, but then from there, I want to make sure that I have time for family and friends and relationships. I say, great. Sometimes that kind of partial retirement so can work awesome. And finally, my pro tip level 4, and I could not do this video without mentioning this. So really, those are the 3 main things to know. But if you really want the pro tips, here's the biggest thing just on the financial end, because I know you guys. Tax planning is the #1 reason people are reaching out to us for early retirement planning, because once your income gets low, you have an opportunity to say, this is awesome. I pay taxes my whole life. I want to pay very little, or I can take advantage of it through things like Roth conversions, tax gain harvesting. And so if you're wondering how my clients pay 0% in taxes, watch this video right here where I explain exactly how you can do that. Finally, if you're interested in working with us at Root, you can go ahead and apply to work with us below and see exactly how we do our process.